Right then, guys and girls, welcome back to my channel. Here we are again in the workshop with another Makita gearbox. Not sure which model this is from. It's just an old one that I had lying around. You can maybe hear that I've had a cold this week, but I got an interesting question from a viewer and I didn't know the answer myself, so I thought I'd come in and open up a gearbox and try and answer the question and make a small video. Maybe we can learn something. Right, so what was the question then? Okay, the question was, why is it that if the motor spins, okay, so this is a rotor from the motor, so the rotor spins, the chuck spins, but if you try to turn the chuck to put your bits in or something, or your drill bit, it doesn't spin the rotor, it locks. Oh, you can see it's spun there a little bit, but mostly it stays still. I can really try and turn that now. Once it's locked, it's really locked. Why does it do that? I thought we'd open the gearbox up and try and explain why. So, if I can pull this out. Let's crack her open. All the guts comes out. What's inside here? Let's try and remove this ring as well. Sometimes this ring can be hard to get out. Don't even know if I need to remove it actually. Maybe I'll leave it in there, it's not super important. Okay, so if I take this off, this is this ring that sits in here. You can see that these tabs sit in these grooves here and they stop it from turning. So this piece here doesn't turn. So let's put it in there. Okay, that one sits in there, it doesn't turn. And then the next couple of pieces are, first of all, if we look at this, we can see that this cam can move here, side to side. And these rings also move a little bit. They don't have the same range of movement. So this one has a lot of big range of movement, and the pins have a small range of movement. That's important. So take those pieces apart. Pins and the third stage carrier. We can get rid of the rest of the gearbox. We don't need that right now. It's these parts we're going to have a look at. These are the important parts. Okay, so let's put it back together. Let's put it back together. And this one went in here where it can move a lot, and the pins, I wonder if they're going to stay. Maybe I need a bit of grease. Pins sit there, and this piece goes in here. Okay, and we can see another demonstration. This carrier would be spun by the motor, and you can see that that turns freely. But if we flip it over and try and turn the chuck, it locks. Right, if I remove the carrier, hopefully the other parts are going to stay where they are, unless that grease makes them stick. Yeah, the grease did make them stick. In fact, the whole ring came out. Maybe if I twist it a bit, I can make it stay. There we go. Now it's, one of the pins stayed and one of the pins came out. But we know where the pin should be because it should be like dead opposite there. So let's put that in here. Okay, and that's how it would normally sit. And you can see that if I try and turn the chuck now, because the sides of this piece here are flat, as they turn, they cause the pins to jam against the outside, locking it. So it doesn't matter which way I turn it, it locks. So that's why the chuck locks. Basically, that's the locking mechanism for the chuck. Okay, so why then, if I try and turn this, surely it's just going to lock exactly the same, because that's what I'm doing. I'm just turning the camming piece here. But what's really important is the design of this part of the carrier, the way these tabs stick up. So I'm going to try and draw a picture and explain it. We'll see how many pieces of paper I get through before I get a good one. Okay, first things first, let's say what these things are called. Okay, this one here, this ring on the outside, we're going to call the lock ring. This thing here, we're going to call the carrier. And these things sticking up here, we're going to call tabs. Hard to draw a line there, but then we'll kind of put a little up arrow like that, and we'll write tab. Okay, and then these pieces, we're just going to call them pins. And this piece, we're going to call the locking cam. Okay, first we're going to draw the locking cam. I'll turn the pages slightly. Okay, so they've got a flat edge there, a flat edge there. They start to go round here, and they've got these little arms that stick out here on the sides. Kind of looks like a sweet wrapper. And then in the middle, we've got our splines. Kind of see what it's supposed to be. Right. Then normally our pins sit here and here. And then our 4 tabs, we said that the distance for the locking cam arms is wider than for the pins. So we'll draw those tabs a bit closer to the pins. Like that. And then we're going to have we'll have the ring outside, but I won't draw the ring outside because it'll just get confusing. Okay. So what happens when you turn the chuck is these arms, the locking cam arms, start to move, and before they interact with the tabs, the pin locks in the corner of the flat section on the ring on the outside. But when we turn the motor drives the carrier, and the carrier has these tabs on the back, so we're going to drive the carrier tabs. So I draw a little arrow here to show the carrier tabs moving that way. And let's say that the angle between the carrier tab and the locking cam arm is 20 degrees. Now I'm just making up numbers just to make it obvious. And the distance between the carrier tab and the pin is 10 degrees. So when we start to rotate and turn these carrier tabs, they've got 20 degrees. Oh, 20 degrees is also here. So they've got 20 degrees to travel before they start pushing against the locking cam arm. But after 10 degrees, this tab starts pushing on the pin. And what that means is the pin can never come into the corner and lock. It's that simple, as far as I can tell. So it's all about the geometry of these tabs on the carrier. So what happens if we put it together wrong then? Shall we experiment and see what happens? Okay, you can see that the pin's sitting there on the flat section and they lock both ways, as they should. Okay, now instead of putting it the correct way with the wider gap on next to the arms, I'm going to put the wider gap on the pins. So let's do that. Okay, so now the wider gap is on the pins. So what should happen? Let's think about this for a second. So what should happen now is that the tabs on the carrier should meet the locking cam arms before this next pin has a chance to hold this next tab has a chance to hold the pin in the center of the flat section. So basically it should just always lock. So we know it's going to lock from turning the chuck, but what about from turning the carrier? Oh, yeah, it locks both ways basically. As expected. Okay, we'll turn it again. It's quite interesting, I never noticed this before. There's a little arrow on the top of that, can you see it? And that seems to point towards the wider section. So, okay, now the wider section and the carrier spins again. Yeah, problem solved, I'd say. What do you think of my conclusion then? Do you think I'm right? Do you think I explained it well? Let me know down in the comments. Cheers guys, till next time.